Welcome back to church, man. We're so excited that you guys are here. This episode is going to be what we pray is a life-changing episode for you. Today, we're going to talk about goals. Do you have any? Have you set any? What is it about? And how do you go about achieving them? And so I'm excited to have this conversation with one of the best people I know, my best friend, Jason Fowler. I mean, Professor X over there.
Yeah.
I think we both got a idea of the way we want to tackle it. But I think today we're going to learn some things from each other. And hopefully today we get to share the love of Jesus and we get to talk about goals. That'll be a life-changing conversation. Jason, how do you feel about goals?
I think this episode is goals. I just wanted to be the first one to make that joke because I was waiting for it. Let's
go
as we intro. No, I love setting goals. In fact, I try to do it as often as I can.
Okay.
I'm not the type of personality or person that I just like floating through life, kind of. I will say this, I don't always achieve the goals that I have for myself, but I really like to. I think of myself, it's really interesting, and I want to dive into this in the episode, but I feel like there's some areas of my life where I'm kind of a perfectionist. And when I say kind of, I'm just trying to pad the fact that I know that I'm a perfectionist about certain things. And then other things, I'm kind of like passive and just kind of, I set goals in those areas, but I let them float. And the truth is sometimes I don't even recognize why that is, other than it just feels good to be lazy sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've known people where laziness is just not an option.
Yeah.
And I think that's really admirable because I think sometimes people that want to be lazy paint people who are high achievers or who grind and achieve goals continuously. I think people paint that as like unhealthy. But I think in everything there's a healthy balance. The challenge I would say that I would offer people is be aware that like more challenge is better for you, not less. In terms of goal setting. So Andrew Huberman talked about this recently, and I think I may have mentioned this last episode, or maybe you and I have talked about it, but there was one key that he said he would just leave with people was one of the most important parts of your brain only grows when you do things that challenge you and you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So for me, I need to get better at doing things I don't want to do because I think I'm really good at goal setting in the areas where, first of all, I know I can achieve.
Yeah.
And second, I know that I can maybe be recognized or the things that you do that outwardly people see. I think I'm good at that sometimes. And then the first thing I thought of, like in terms of goal setting, is the constant battle that I have with like diet and weight fluctuations and all those things. I think I do really good when I know people are watching, but I do poorly in private, like private eating, right? Or sneaking food and those kind of things, or like convincing myself it's okay to just have that thing this one time. Here's the ironic twist about goals like that, though. When you set them, you lie to yourself in the short term. And like, oh, people aren't going to, people are going to, they're not going to know that I had this bag of Doritos, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is over time, they can obviously see you gaining weight. So we do this thing when we set goals is we have to look at short term and then long term, but don't lie to yourself about what's happening long term. Like people still see that, even if you don't, people see the impacts because you see yourself every day in the mirror, so you take it for granted. But other people who see you once a week or see you once a month, they're going to notice those things where you've set goals and are not reaching them.
Yeah.
So that's my challenge is, guys, today, let's set goals that we can achieve. Let's also set goals that stretch us and go a little further than what we think we can achieve.
Okay.
And then let's set crazy goals. Like that's kind of 3 tiers. Let's set some crazy goals and go achieve them anyway. Because I think you can do anything with God's help. I think God wants you to achieve because he wants the glory for being the source, being the impetus for your achieving those goals. So
so good.
That's how I feel about goals is I want to do better in the ones I'm not hitting, and I want to set difficult goals for myself to keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the ones I know I can achieve, I still want to set goals because it keeps me focused and motivated.
Okay.
So, yeah, man.
Okay.
That's where I land on goals. Is they're important to me. I don't mean to get like too far down the road in the episode, but I love like handwritten goals.
Let's go.
I'm a Post-it note guy, or like a get a notebook or get a new journal and write things down.
Yeah.
There's something about writing it down for me that makes me have to confront it. It's just like talking about it.
Yeah.
When you say it out loud, especially on this podcast, like some of that has been really challenging for me because as you say it out loud, now you have to own it, not just in front of yourself, but in front of whoever's watching.
Yeah.
Whoever's
talking
about
it.
Yeah, it's out in the world
there
now. And I actually do notice this too, is it's a record for all time. So what somebody could do is go back and look at something I said in episode 1. And when we're at episode 20, 22, 23, wherever we're at now, they can go back and say like, well, he's had 20 weeks. And at episode 100, you'll have had 100 weeks, those kind of things. So it keeps me on my toes. And I think being open about the goals you have set can help you achieve them. The one challenge we face is, I think, sometimes, and this is a psychological thing too, talking about your goals that you're going to achieve and the greatness that you're going to have. If you focus too much on that, if you talk about it too much, then sometimes it does something chemically in your brain that makes you feel like you already achieved
it.
Yeah, you have to be careful about it.
Yeah.
So if you want to work out, it's okay to mention it to a few people, but don't give yourself too much praise about what you're going to do. Just set out to do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it. And then hold yourself accountable along the way.
Get at it, right?
That's right. Go attack it. Don't talk about it, be about it, right? That's the
man, that's good. That's good. That's good pay dirt to start there, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good foundation there. Well, I'm glad that you embrace goals, and that you said one specific thing that I think is key to goals is to write it down. I think it's one thing to talk about it. I think talking about it kind of puts it out there, but I'm like, hey, talk about your goals. Like, let some people in your life know what you're working on, and then be quiet, be quiet and get to work. Don't every day, don't be repeating, yeah, I'm going to do this. Because your brain will be like, oh, I guess you'll get more familiar with the things that you need to work to achieve. It'll lose that, that prestige in your, I got to work to this, and you'll become more familiar with it. Right. And so I think that's very important that you write it down, journal, Post-it note, however you do it, type it up on your computer, get that goal in writing, and then read it. Don't just write it and put it to the side. Write it and then visit it once a week, once a month, visit like where you are, where am I at in the goal? So for me, I got some, I'm a goal person. I like goals. I think that in life, and you kind of alluded to this, in life, you're either going somewhere or you're going nowhere. That's there's no in between. Like, either there's a destination you're trying to reach to, or something you're trying to achieve, or you're just meandering, you're just walking around. You're just, and I think that life has its seasons. I've been in seasons where I just had to kind of wander around a little bit, kind of like the Israelites, in the wilderness, just kind of like, what am I doing? Like getting myself together, right? I'm uncomfortable with that. I believe in moving life forward. I believe in taking advantage of every moment that God has given us, to not only just achieve goals, but to do what He put me here for. I used to have ambitions, just like ambition to have ambition. Like, let me go, right? As I've matured in my walk with God, I was going to say in my age, but as in my walk with God, I've learned to seek ye first the kingdom of God, right? Because when I seek Him first, everything else, that the desires He's put in my heart, these things just, they're added to me. They my goals are not, I don't have to like blow up the earth to achieve these goals. God gives me favor when I put Him first. So I've just learned that number one key to achieving your goals is to put God first in your life. Like, if You feel like there's something great and amazing that God's called you to do, that you were made to do, put him first in it. Ask yourself, like, how does God get the glory out of this? How do I bring people to Jesus, to a Savior who died for our sins so that we may have life, right, in him, eternal life in him? How does he get the glory out of my goals, out of my life, right? And when you align yourself with the purpose of God, right, you may notice that some of the goals that you used to have, like, they changed. Like when you really put God at the center of your life, you start realizing that the goals that you used to have no longer are applicable to the life that you're living, right? And so for me, my whole life changed when I really realigned my thinking to realize that my life didn't belong to me, that it belonged to Jesus. And then the goals and desires start to align with what he wanted for my life, right? So the things that I'm after are the things he's put inside of me, and those things also bring him glory.
Yeah.
You know, is that the kind of like connect, you know, to the bigger picture? Like my goals are for me to have a happy life, to make a certain amount of money, or to get a house. How does the house give God glory? How does you getting the money give God glory, or the career that you're after? How do these things, how does this all play into God getting the glory? Is it, you know, you get the job and you're more generous. You get the job and you get to bring the light of Christ into a corporate situation. Like, how does it all work? You know, bring God into the center. I believe it gives you this power to achieve your goals that you cannot possess without it. I think I can speak for both of us that we've probably both tried to go at achieving goals on our own, right? Like, I'm going to do this. And you can bang your head up against the wall and be like, nope, nope, nope. Right. And so until you kind of fall into a place where God is aligning your goals with what he created you to do, with him getting the honor out of your life. And then you're like, wow, this is so much easier when I do it God's way. It's so much,
right.
There's so much, this is so much, it's not like you don't have to work at it. I don't want to give people the wrong. It's not like you won't have to sacrifice. You won't have to really go after it. It's just the fact that when God is behind something, you can really feel him moving things in that direction for you. Vice is when it's not for you and you just fighting and want it, and you just have to compromise your beliefs. You have to compromise your actions to get something. You know, you're getting it the wrong way.
Yeah. I think it's more fulfilling when you have God as the motor.
Come on.
So that's what I was thinking about when you were saying it. You're either moving forward or standing still. I always feel like with my goals, I'm either moving forward or going backwards.
Ooh.
Because I feel like the world's moving. Like there is opportunities, there's things growing and changing, and we have, ever more technology. Mm-hmm. We have ever more opportunity. We have the ability to connect with people. Mm-hmm. So if you're not doing that now, as the world becomes more prosperous in terms of abilities, like you and I are doing this from, I don't know how many hundreds of miles away.
Yeah,
you're in Memphis,
1,500
Tennessee.
miles.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm in Murfreesboro, North Carolina, and we're able to do this from afar, and we're having a live conversation.
Yeah,
with each other right now. We're able to do it and look at each other and then record it and put it out to the world.
Yeah,
think about that. I mentioned this to you the other day. Sometimes when we get to share Jesus with people, it's reaching thousands of people in an episode. And I think about, there were years, like over the course of this year, as we do the podcast, there were years where great men of God, like Franklin Graham or somebody that would be kind of I hesitate to say it, but like celebrity status in the Christian world, right?
Yeah.
He would reach tons of people for Jesus. I don't know if he talked to that many people in a year.
Yeah.
But now two guys that decide to set up a podcast can reach what would be stadiums full of people with our words, if that's who chooses to look at it, and through time. So this video won't be grainy ever. Like we record it in 4K, it'll be in 4K forever. Yeah. So if you're not moving forwards, you're missing those opportunities. You might be heading backwards by standing still. And so I mentioned this a second ago, as you were talking, and I love the point you were making, it was about the source. And I pictured like an engine. maybe like a boat motor, you know? And so if I'm the boat motor for my goals, then I'm going to run out of gas. We're not going to go as fast, and the journey won't be as fulfilling. And so the goal, the kind of, in terms of goal setting, the word that kept popping into my brain was fulfilling. With God as the engine, you're going to go further. You're going to go faster if it's his will for what's going on. And it's going to be more fulfilling.
Come on.
So I could feel it. The word you were avoiding saying is like, it will be easier. It won't be easier, but I understand what you're saying because it feels easier.
Yeah.
Because it's fulfilling. And in terms of feeling easier, it feels more rewarding. So you have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that when you set a goal and you're not achieving it and you're not winning, it's really difficult to want to keep pursuing those things. Like you want to feel like you are winning in a way that, like, win motivates win.
Yeah.
You know, with each win, you're motivated to keep going, and you're building something. You ever seen a sports team? And we got to talk about basketball every episode because I'm on the pod. If you see an NBA team, and every team starts the season 0-0, and then about 20 games into an 82 game season, that one team is like 3-17, where another team is 17-3. Already, just 20 games in, that 3-17 team that's only won 3 games, and maybe they squeak some out, and everybody kind of knows they're waiting for a high draft pick next year. Some of those players are already looking at next year, or they're looking at their contract. Like the goal has already been beaten up and torn apart, and just kind of maybe lost in some of the details. It's lost in the feeling of not achieving the goals.
Yeah.
On a team that's 17-3, the focus is the next game. They're ready to focus on those goals because they're feeling victory in probably the little things. Like to win that many games, to be a high achiever, you have to be hitting not just high-end goals, not just far-off goals. You're individually, quarter to quarter in a basketball game.
Yeah. They're
looking at, we got to win this half of the game. We got to win this quarter. Those teams that are like 3-17, please God, just let us win a game. And they might not even be thinking about the quarter. They're just thinking as the score gets, like, with each game. I've been on a team where we haven't done well before. And the truth is, by the end of the first half, you're down by 15. There's not a lot of good vibes in the locker room.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of goal setting or teamwork or things like that. So I think it is important to realize who your motor is. Like you want to be fulfilled in those things. The team that is 3-17 works just as hard as the team that's 17-3, whether people think so or not. Professional basketball players are not going out there to get embarrassed, right? So your sweat equity is exact same. One has a great leader. One has a good coach. One has some reason, great player that's carrying the team. Let God be that for you.
Come on.
Because when you do it by yourself, you're the 3-17 team. Like you're trying and it's hard and you're still playing basketball. You're doing the same thing, but something's missing.
Let's go.
There's some dynamic. And I think for humans, that's where God's like, I'd like to get the glory in this. If you'll let me, I'm going to take you further, faster. And we're going to head in the right direction. You may not know where we're going. You might be like, God, is this really what it is? I know you and I have felt that, where there's been little shifts or changes or big shifts. And like, God, what's going on? What's the game plan? And God just says, trust me. Right? And so that's what I would say. Let God be your motor. That's the kind of, I don't know, feeling I got as you were talking was, in terms of goals, know where the source is coming from.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say, and I'm curious what you think about this, is decide. That's one of the first words I wrote down was decide on your goals. Set goals. And here's the real key for me. Like, this is what I really think. I think as you decide, dedicate yourself to like one, or I'm open to the idea of maybe a few goals. So let me give you an example. If I have a goal of becoming a professor of graphic design, which I did, I go to graduate school. I wasn't going to graduate school for anything other than graphic design. if I have an interest in mechanical engineering and being a brain surgeon and, that's a lot of schooling. That's a lot of time and a lot of divided focus.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to give an extreme example. Like most people don't do that. And I would say, even for the people who are saying, well, what, but maybe I'm good at multiple things. Or you look at somebody like, let's say high achieving, like Elon Musk, right? He has multiple companies that do different things, right? So can't you do it? Isn't that achievable? Yes. But I think what's missed sometimes is the amount of time and energy he puts into one first. Like Tesla, or really before that, PayPal first. Then Tesla, and Tesla all the way until it succeeds. Then SpaceX, and he's all in on SpaceX until it succeeds. And now that it's rolling, like once the ball is rolling downhill and it's gaining momentum, I think that's when he moves to the next idea. But I think he really does pour himself into each idea deeply.
Come on.
And so don't set 50 goals for yourself.
Go.
I don't even set a list of 10. When I have a goal in my life, to me, it's like 3.
Okay.
That's a peak. And that's just for me. Maybe some people have 5 and they're at different sizes. But for me, it's like more than 2 or 3, I'm getting distracted. I'm starting to look around. I'm starting to set goals. Like, why are you setting those goals? You have 5 goals and 3 of them are because you saw somebody else already doing them. Well, I guarantee you this, that NBA player that's also a business owner, that's also a musician or an actor that has his own podcast, the thing that afforded him all these opportunities was focusing on one thing until he was so good at it, he got opportunities in other things.
Yeah.
You focus on one thing and get momentum, you decide on that one goal and you get momentum in it, it's going to open up opportunities for other things. That's how life works.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
What do you think, Warren?
So
decide.
Dude, that was I think you hit it on the head with the decide piece of it. Because you got to kind of make a decision. Like what is the goal? What is it? What is it you want to achieve? Right. After you figure out the source, then it's deciding what is it? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And then don't overload yourself with 20 goals, right? You won't be able to concentrate on 20 goals at one time, right? Don't try to make a goal for every aspect of your life at one point in time, right? Be very decisive. The first thing I wrote down, which correlates with what you said, is it takes that decision and it's got to be specific. So that's the first thing I wrote down, because when we make goals, right, sometimes we make these generalities, like I want to lose weight. What does that mean? Like,
or how like this one? I want to be famous.
Yeah, I want to be famous.
Hey, like what for? What?
Yeah,
like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, for what? How famous? Like, there's levels to that, and I'm like, so if you're not specific with the goal you're setting, revisit the goal, because the specifications of that goal will determine if you really want to achieve it or not. Whenever I talk to someone and we're talking about goals or we're talking about life, however, I can really tell if they're really on track to do something, because if someone really is on track to do something, they got the specifications down. They're like, hey, I'm doing this. It needs to be done by August 15th. And this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. And this is how I'm going to get there. They got the specifications locked in. And I'm talking to people like, yeah, I'm going to be a firefighter.
All right.
He's just like
crickets. You're like, okay.
Cool.
I think that's
what
okay.
City? What?
Right, but like where?
What ladder? What? Like when are you going to the fire academy? I don't know. I'm just gonna be a fire. Like, and so that's a goal that really is a dream, right? You haven't put any action behind it. There's no specifications to it. You don't have the specifics. Like, so if you have goals that you haven't achieved and they've been on your goal list for a while, revisit them and find out, like, is it just a general thing? I want to be happy. What does that mean? I want to be financially secure. What does that mean? Like, what is security to you? You have to put the specifications to the goal. After you make that decision, then you got to get this. You got to get the who, what, when, where why and how in there. Like, hey, where does that go? So for me, whenever I set a goal, like, especially if it's a fitness goal, right? It's not just, I want to drop a couple pounds. It's spelled out. I want to lose 12.5 pounds by this date, right? And this is what I want to improve. I want to work on my abdominals and I want better shoulders. Boom, there you go.
Right.
That's specific. That's not like I want my whole body to improve, because that could be overwhelming. Just get the specifics of what are you trying to do in a time period, right? And you'll learn if you chop it up into small pieces. Because some people, they have a goal. Like, so, at one time I was going to be an anesthesiologist. Like, I had that goal. That goal was huge, right? And so I had to chop that goal into bites. Like, okay, so I got to take the MCAT. I got to get into medical school. These are all specific goals I had to chop up, because if I just did the specifications for get from here to Dr. Brown, that's overwhelming, right? So I just got to be like, what are the steps? How do I get from here to here? And then chop it up into bite-sized pieces to where I can have some success along that road, so I can garner momentum. So the specifics help you get to where you want to go. So if you want to lose 50 pounds, do not make a goal that says, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds by October. You set yourself up for failure. Let's just start with 5. My goal is I want to lose 5 pounds over the next 2 weeks. And I want to improve my cardio health. Yeah. That's specific. That's a short time frame. And when you hit that wicket, you're like, boom, there's 5. Set the next goal. I want to lose 7 pounds in 2 weeks. And I want to improve my ability to run. And you keep building on these. Sometimes we look at goals and we're just like, yeah, I'm buying a $1.4 million house next month. Come on.
Right. Set realistic goals.
Set goals that you can attain, things that, because it's the little pieces that build the big house. It's brick by brick. Right. And so sometimes it's our approach, and it's not having the specifics of what we want to achieve. And when you look at the specifics, if they're too large, cut them down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say is I'll use the house analogy you did, and then like the losing weight. For me, when I have a goal of losing weight, I can set a broad goal, but the goals that I check in on, like the contract with myself that I check in on, is I will work out 4 times each week. Like, I will do an exercise. And then the weight goal is kind of like auspicious and who knows, because let's say I want to lose 50 pounds. If I lose 47, you should still feel great. Like, there's still something where you didn't come up short. It's like, man, you really achieved. The goal you need to hit is, I'm going to eat less than 1,200 calories 4 days a week or something, or whatever the thing, like, make it so specific and make it an action you can do. That's what I would say is the goal is like, I'm going to read 3 books each month. Those kind of things, where not, I want to get smarter this year, or I'm going to raise my IQ by 10 points. Like, well, that you don't know. Like, you don't know if you're going to lose 50 pounds, because what if you gain muscle, right? You don't know if you're going to be able to build a house this year, but what if the goal is, I'm going to lay the foundation this month. Yep. I'm going to build a bathroom by this date. So then you could set smaller goals. Like you were talking about, is like, I'm going to buy the tile by this date. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this date. You don't have to say build the house, because I think what happens is if you set a goal that's too big and too far off and you don't have any framework in between, then God has no room to like aid and help. And if you're not open to the shift, that God could be like, hey, I know you had this goal. Allow me to show you what I have for you.
Come on.
So I think it opens up doors when you have a far off goal, but you're really focused on the day to day, week to week, because the challenges of today are sufficient. That's biblical. So don't go too far, too fast. make sure you can check in on small goals and be like, I did that this morning. You could even have goals like, I want to lose 50 pounds, but the truth is track like, my goal is to wake up by 7 a.m. every day.
Come on.
I'm not going to sleep in because I know sleeping in makes me not want to work out.
Yep.
Those kind of things. So it's like habit forming, because I would say a goal of like, I want to lose 50 pounds, that can't be habit forming because you're not going to do that. And once you hit it, go do it again and you're going to disappear.
Yep.
So for me, it's like when you hit the 50 pounds, the challenge I have with goals like that for people, especially where it's like you're battling an addiction, right? I'm going to go a year without drinking. That's awesome. Make sure your goal is like, tonight, I'm not going to go to the bar. And then every night this week, I'm not going to go to that place that triggers that thing. This week, I'm not going to buy cookies. It's like goals that are super achievable. You can hit them quickly. Well, I'm just saying, if you want to lose 50 pounds, cookies in the house is like, or whatever your trigger is, right? Maybe you're fine with cookies, but boy, those donuts.
you had to bring
whatever
donuts?
it is. Yeah. You got to be honest about what the challenges are. You got to be honest about like, what is your, and what's realistic for you. And you're not going to burn yourself out in a week because you're like, all right, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. You start working out. You're not tracking anything that week. And then you gain a pound. Yeah. Well, what you don't know is your body had no muscle.
Come on.
And so you gained 3 pounds of muscle and lost 2 pounds of fat. So your body shift, that's actually a net 5 pounds better because that muscle is going to be burning fat. But if you weren't tracking like, no, I actually did hit my calorie goals. I did hit my workout goals. So just trust the process. But if it's only a weight goal at the end, or like, I want to be rich as your goal. I want to make $1 million by this day. Don't do that. Say, what are ways you think you can make $1 million? Go get great at that. And then the world will tell you by buying your product or not, whether you're going to make $1 million.
Yep.
But you could succeed. I just think it's setting goals that are like achievable for you that day that you can control. So, and you can let God kind of be a part of those things.
That's good.
So that was my second part, by the way. Like we're in sync on that. It was just, I had decide and then track.
Let's go.
So that's what those little ones are. Like you can track those goals. I can't track, did I lose 50 pounds in 6 months every day? Right. So you can track the progress, but you can't be like, well, did it, guys? 6 months from now, 50 pounds. Wait a minute. It's only day 4. I can't track that. Can I track? I weighed in every morning.
Come on.
I drank, what is it? 120 ounces of water or whatever. By the way, not for nothing. Like some of those water drinking suggestions are like intense. For me, like you're supposed to drink, I can't remember what it is, but it's like a cup of water for every 10, 20 pounds of body weight. And there's some days where I'm like, I feel like I'm swimming, like I'm drowning, like I have to run to the bathroom every 10 minutes. Like, so anyway, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your goals, be able to track those things. But I think tracking small goals is way healthier than tracking the far off goal.
Let's go.
Because that far off goal will sneak up on you.
Come on.
So, yep. That's what I got. That was my second one.
It's funny that your second one correlates with my second one. Like I think we're using the same
Almost
concepts, in different words. So
that's right.
Like my second one was measurable,
Yeah, same.
Tracking,
same thing.
Measurable, and I agree with everything you just said. It just, being able to track it, to be able to measure, like, am I making progress? Am I having small wins? Like, am I waking up at 7 a.m.? Like that's something you can track. That's something you can measure. Like, how am I doing? Where you can make adjustments, right? Like where you can kind of, like you talked about the contract you have with yourself. What's the point of having a contract if you don't have a measuring tool? If you can't track the progress that you're making, like, hey, I'm out of the contract. I'm in contempt of court here. I need to take myself to, I put myself in jail for a second. Like, I'm messing up. I said I wouldn't buy cookies. I bought cookies and donuts. I'm messing up. Like, I need to, I need to get back in the thing. What I really appreciate about being able to track how you're doing on a goal, right? Having a standard to hold yourself accountable to is it helps you see as you make progress that achieving goals is work. Sometimes it's change. Often it's difficult, right? Because if it was easy, it probably wouldn't just be a goal. You just be like, boom, I did that. Right. So it's you get to see the process, but it also recalibrates us, because we live in a world where, if you see it, you can get it. If you want it, you can probably apply for a credit card and go get it. It's instant gratification all around us. And so when you have a goal and you're tracking your progress toward a goal and you see the little steps you're making, I feel like it recalibrates you, to a realistic expectation of how things are really achieved that last, because you can get things quickly. And trust me, there's always a way to get things quickly. And we're not talking about goals to be like, look, I want $1 million. I'm gonna go rob a bank. You can
achieve that.
That's not gonna work, right? So there's always ways to get things quickly, but when you get things quickly, often, right? Quickly in the wrong way, often they leave quickly.
That's true.
Often they don't come with peace or rest, right? Like if you really wanted a car and instead of working hard for it, you went out and stole it, then you really can't park it in your front yard.
That's right.
If you really wanted a muscular physique, and instead of putting in the work and years of hard work to attain that physique, you went and took steroids, then you're always going to have to take steroids to maintain that.
Right. And I think that beats you up long term too, right?
So there's a price. There's a price to the quickness of getting things, but when you set a goal and you take it piece by piece and you can see the progress along the way, I think it means more. But the most important thing, for me is when you track or you have that measuring tool, you see when God shows up in your goals. And this is what I mean. When we're making progress, it'll be like, I make one step, I make another step, and then God comes in and like 4 or 5 steps are done. And I'm like, what happened here? I didn't do that. I've been on weight loss journeys. I've been on financial journeys where I'm trying to pay off credit. And I'm like, okay, there's a couple months where I'm doing this, I'm snowballing. And then all of a sudden something happens, where 2 credit cards get paid off. I'm like, wait, what happened? What happened there? And I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I can even trace God's hand on these goals I have, and it's kind of like when you're faithful over a little, God will make you ruler over much. It's almost that kind of principle. And it helps you get away from this instant gratification. Like I did this and be like, no, God did this through me. Like it helps you trace the measure of his hand through, like, I don't even know how I went, because I've experienced where I can only make baby steps, and I can look back and see these are huge steps here. Oh, that's when God was advancing me. That's when God was pushing my goals forward, because I'm in line with him, and it goes back to the source. That's why when you have goals, making them, trackable, making them measurable, allows you the blessing of being able to see when God intervenes in your behalf. So I look back over my life and I just see how things went. And I'm like, man, I depend on the power of God to help me move life forward. It's not just about what I can do. But I tell people all the time, if you're not moving, there's nothing for God to help with.
Right. Momentum will carry you into what God has for you.
Come on.
So my wife and I used to talk about this, where our first apartment was like 500 square feet.
Let's go.
And that included a bathroom, bedroom, a small hallway, living room, and a kitchen, like dining room combo.
In 500 square feet?
500 square feet. Yeah.
Bro.
It was like, dude, it was wild. I feel like you could turn left and be at the toilet, and you turn right and you're at the stove. You know what I mean? So it was.
I just got the visual of that. Like
you're like banging into all 4 walls on accident. Yeah, you feel like Alice in Wonderland, where it's like too big for the room. Like what happened? No, it was cool. Like it was fine, and I think it was really good for where we were at.
Yeah,
I was finishing college. We were actually going off of just Delia's income, and then my like supplemental college income from the work I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't have what people call like your big boy salary.
Yeah.
I didn't have my 9-to-5 working money yet. So we did what we could, and we were content in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Delia was content in it. And there was times that I was frustrated by it because as the provider, like I want to provide. And that's what Delia and I talked about is, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, a mother, and homeschool the kids and do all these things. And I was going to provide. Well, she was also very patient and understanding of our circumstance. One, we didn't have kids yet. We just got married. So she was like, look, I have an opportunity to work. I'm going to do it for a while. To me, it felt like failing because I was looking at the goal someday of I want a big house and cars and a yard and a bunch of kids and my wife to not have to work. She was looking at that will come. Here's the achievable goal right now. We're not going to have credit card debt overwhelm us.
Yeah.
We're going to enjoy this 500 square foot place. And that's the little goals that I think I miss sometimes in lieu of focusing on the far off big goals.
Yeah.
And so I can speak from experience, like enjoy your 500 square foot house or 500 square foot apartment or whatever that is, because someday God's going to bring more square footage into your life. And if you're enjoying it then, you're really going to enjoy it later.
Come on.
But if you're frustrated then, I think something happens where sometimes you get the bigger house and then you're like, well, maybe we could even go a little further. And so you're still thinking forward. And I had to I'm thankful that I was able to, but I had to break myself of that. Like always looking forward, always wanting to achieve.
That's good.
We had hit our goals. See, the challenge of that is I think if you keep not being satisfied because God is fulfilling you, I think the challenge of that is every square foot you add is just an indicator like, well, I could add 2 more than I could not.
Come on.
And it's just never enough. And so I think a healthy awareness of like looking back on the journey, being thankful for the journey, and then realizing the blessing that you currently have. Now we have more. I don't want to like flex or anything like that, but we have more. We are doing better. God has used my career in a creative field, which people will tell you, typically may not or does not make money sometimes. And we've found a way not only to survive, but prosper through what God has done. And so I would say maybe this does harken to my next point. I thought I was just kind of throwing this in. My third point was, so I had like decide your goals, then track them. Then as you're going, seek inspiration.
Come on.
That's the next one. So for me, I would look at like other people that have succeeded or listen to the words of people around you, read books, go get podcasts, like seek the inspiration of people that have achieved it and then realize God could maybe even do more through you.
Let's go.
Don't limit what God can do when you seek inspiration, but look to people who have at least gotten somewhere that you think you might want to go and your journey will look different and then you'll be able to inspire other people.
Come on.
But for me, again, maybe this step is just for me and maybe it helps some people. Maybe it's not good for other people. Find inspiration. You want to be like more fit. To me, it does help to post up a picture of like Chris Hemsworth, looking like Thor. Like, here we go. It can be done. There is someone in the world that is as fit as I think I'd like to be. So this is the goal, those kind of things. Yeah. Or like you have those posters of Michael Jordan around your house. You're like, I'm going to keep practicing basketball because there's some goal here. Or I'm going to keep reading my Bible because Jesus somehow, some way, while being persecuted and put to death, still loved people better than I do. And so find inspiration in those things and it will allow you to realize you're never going to hit your goal. Like you'll always have something you could get better at. I like to say, or I've talked to my dad about, and we kind of always said like, even Michael Jordan missed more than half his shots.
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan, arguably greatest basketball player ever. I say arguably because I would argue that is true. I know some people say LeBron James. Michael Jordan is, I think, the greatest athlete of all time.
Whoa.
And still,
the greatest athlete? Wow.
Oh, we can debate it if you want to, but yeah, I think so. Missed half his shots. But nobody looks at that because he continued going. Like he had a goal with each game. We're going to win each game. And so as he won, as he achieved, that's the other thing is like seek inspiration and realize that like the little bumps along the road, nobody's going to remember. When you lose 50 pounds, that month where we talked about where you plateaued and gained a pound or that week where you gained a pound, no one is going to be like, yeah, but remember that first week? They're going to be like, man, you look great. You lost 50 pounds.
Yep.
That's all people are going to say. They don't need to see the work. You can suffer in silence and I wanted to hit on that. Actually, we did say something that I want to make sure I circle back to. This is a piece of advice I would give people setting goals. If you can, only talk to the people about your goal that will impact your goal.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean? You want to start a podcast? Don't tell 30 people you're going to start a podcast unless those 30 people are going to be the working staff that you have editing video or joining you as a host. But if Warren and I are going to start a podcast, he and I had dinner. I told my wife, because it impacts our schedule, I have to have time to record. That's it. I basically told Delia and you that we were doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Even now, I don't really talk to people about the logistics of the podcast because, like, say I'm editing a video, I'm putting the graphics together and we're putting it up, and maybe we're working on the website, designing shirts, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't need to go, hey guys, look at these shirts. Please come validate me. No, I have a goal.
Yeah.
And I'm going after the goal. And I set the goal because I trust what God's vision is.
Absolutely.
And so I don't need to talk to a bunch of people. Now, I did ask questions to friends that had done YouTube before, like had posted videos and started YouTube channels. So try to get advice from wise people, maybe seek wise counsel from, I looked up some video editing techniques of things I wanted to add or ways to get music because I'm not a musician by trade. So there's certain people where I sought information or talked to some people. But what I didn't do was go to 50 people before we even recorded episode 1 and say, I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah.
Get ready, guys. I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah.
What I do is I go start the podcast. When you want to lose weight, don't tell all the people you're going to lose weight.
Go do it.
Because then that's a ton of people. That's a ton of people you're accountable to if it doesn't happen. Right? If you want to lose weight, tell the people in your life that buy food for you. Like, I have to talk to my wife about it because she provides food. I do talk to my in-laws about it because we'll eat meals at their house. So I tell the people that will impact. I'll talk to my mom about it. Hey, I'm going to try this thing when we're doing dinner at your place. Let's do this. But what I'm not going to do is talk to 50 friends that I've never eaten food with or they've never bought me food and tell them I'm going to lose weight. Why? Because they have no impact on my gaining weight. There was anybody who could impact your goal negatively directly. That's who you should probably communicate with. Like, hey, I'm trying to set this goal. I need your help.
That's good.
I'm seeking wise counsel, those kind of things. But not just to tell people.
Yeah.
Don't give yourself the endorphin rush of like, well, I already did it because I told people I'm going to do it. No, just go do it and then you will go.
Come on.
Even if you're in the boat alone, God's the motor.
Come on. Let's go.
Just go. Just go.
Let's go, dude.
So,
let's go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. It's good,
I like that.
Hey, also, let me say this too about goals. So we have deciding and tracking and seeking inspiration. And you're like, yes, we did it. Kind of a last note or like a final thing, like a moment of encouragement or just letting you guys know, if you need to, it's okay to like reset or reassess your goals.
Let's go.
So you're 2 months in, you're going to lose 50 pounds and you've already lost 25. And you're like, man, I didn't know my body could look this good. I've gained muscle and you're already down to a weight that's really healthy. Maybe you need to reset and reassess that goal down to like, I want to lose just 40.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize what the goal was. You're like, I'm reflecting on what I've done and I've added so much muscle. I'm feeling so good. I think 50 might be like punishing myself. It's not a worthy goal because the goal isn't to punish yourself. The goal is to achieve, like to win and let God have the glory. So in that, it's okay to reset and reassess. I've talked to so many people younger, like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a pro athlete. I want to do these things. And then in our lives, right, we're not pro athletes and we're not millionaires, but a bunch of us are content
and happy.
And so, yeah, what is that? That's reassessing and resetting my goals.
Yep.
If you had asked me at 16, what do you want to do? Play point guard in the NBA. Done. Next.
Yeah.
But interestingly, when I was younger, I had to reset and reassess that goal because it turns out I want a family. And I'm not, again, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, but this may not be the reason why, but I had to reflect and be like, man, I don't want to travel 9 months a year or 12 months a year. I don't want to always be on the road. Like, I want a little more familial security. That's just how I'm built.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm not built for the lifestyle of a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Like, maybe God saved me from that thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's some measure of protection. Like, I want this goal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, if I set a goal someday and God's not with me on it, I pray he protects me from that.
Come on.
Like, that desire.
Yeah.
Or if he shuts the door, I want to be paying attention to it. And if I see God shut a door, or he's letting me know, like, this is not the way you want to go, you're nearing the end of the road on this, I want to reset, reassess, and turn right or left.
Come on.
So that's where I'm at, is do that as often as you need
as
to.
often as you possibly can.
Yeah. Because I think you only really lose out on a goal if you give up.
That's so good.
Reset, reassess, but don't just like, okay, I'm done.
That's good.
I'm going to quit now. Well, God's like, oh, I can't use that.
That's good.
You don't have momentum anymore. I can't use that.
That's
so
good.
I want God to be able to use me. Make sure you reset, reassess, but don't give up.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Mic drop to you.
That's good.
I feel like I've been on the soapbox for a minute.
That's good, man. That's legit. I think,
Thanks.
man, wow, this has been such a great conversation, man. Wow. This is, I mean, the kind of just kind of like an overarching, like we've talked about some amazing points, the fuel and the source of our goals, making sure you're that is specific, that you make the decision, right? And then you can track it, you can measure it, right? And then reassessing goals, right? Just kind of the foundation of what they are. Let me just offer this up. I got this information in real time in my life, and it changed the course of kind of how I looked at like going after things and setting goals. A commanding officer once said to me, when I was a senior chief in the Navy, and I was leaving, and he was like, "Man, I don't want you to go." And I was like, "Gotta go, sir. Time to transfer." And he looked at me, and this was, this was probably one of the most locked in officers I'd ever served with. He was a former Blue Angels pilot. He was an imposing solo. I won't name drop him, but who he is. And so he's a fighter pilot. So he said, "Hey, senior, I know what you're trying to do. I know you got ambitions to be a master chief. You want to do these things." He was like, "As you go to your next assignment," he was like, "begin with the end in mind." Right? He's like, when you step through the door, I know you've got goals. You got a whole plan for this next assignment you got, and you got promotion you're trying to achieve and this and that. He was like, "I want you to begin with the end in mind." And I mean, I walked out of his office because that was like my closing statements, my parting conversation with him. I was no longer going to work directly with him, and I was, going across the country at that time. I thought about what he said. We often, when we start something, we start at where we are. If we're trying to get from here to a successful career, from here to a better relationship with God, from here to 20 pounds lighter, or whatever it is, right? To here to a better relationship. We begin right at the front door of all the challenges, right? But if you begin with the end in mind, not that I'm at the end, right? But how will it be when I get there? It helps you process the work that you have to do, the sacrifices you have to make. It makes it kind of worth it, right? If you begin with the end in mind, like if I stick with this, if I have stickability to attain this goal, right? It's going to be difficult, but it will be worth it, right? Often we give up, we stop, we quit because we just think about the present pain or the present obstacle or the present hunger, or the present, satisfaction of going off of our plan, right? Like if I'm studying for LSATs or MCATs or to get into something, right? I'd rather be on YouTube or social media. I want instant pleasure, right? But if you begin with the end in mind, like, okay, at the end of this, I have a degree. At the end of this, I will have a better relationship. At the end of this, I will obtain what I set out to do. It helps you stay aligned with the principles you need to achieve it. And so the best advice I can give anybody out there starting a goal, continuing a goal, is work with the end in mind. Work with the end in mind, that it will be worth it. You will have to sacrifice some things. You will have to give up some things, but you're giving up those things for what you're working towards, right? It helps you get to your goals. We don't set goals to live in them. Be very clear. We do not set goals to live in goals, right? Living in goals that's not the purpose of setting it. We set goals to achieve them. So go and achieve your goals. I'll this is me almost talking to myself. Stop procrastinating, right? Stop giving yourself a break. Stop cutting corners and get to work. Like, stop talking about it, shut the door, do the work, and start moving forward. I often have to just be blunt and Master Chief myself and be like, look, if you really want this, then you honor God with the air and the life that he's given you, right? That he's given you space on this earth to do this. This is your time. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Don't waste the day. Seize it, right? Like, make the most out of it, right? Don't live in your goals. I've been wanting this goal for 11 years. Man, that's not what the goal was for. The goal was to be set and to obtained. So you can set another one and obtain that one. So if you have goals, get to work. If you're stagnant, reassess, readjust, but ultimately get moving, right? Somebody has to tell you in your life often, stop playing around, get to work. This is your wake-up call, right? And ultimately, for everybody out there who wonders, like, how do you move through life with this joy, with this peace, with this sense of security? Like, if you just think about the situation of the world, how can we talk this confidently about achieving things and trusting God through things? It's our relationship with him. Because ultimately we can set all these different goals, but if we don't have God at the center of our life, it's meaningless. So for those of you who have been procrastinating on your relationship with Christ, right? Procrastinating from going all in. Like, I'm not talking about like what you've done before. I'm talking about doing a new thing, like saying, okay, God, I'm giving you my entire life. Maybe the goals you haven't achieved is because God doesn't want that for you. It's time. Today is the best day to realign yourself with him so you can start moving in the right direction so you can achieve the goals that God wants for your life. So I invite you to develop a relationship with Jesus. Invite him into your heart. And I guarantee you it's the best decision you'll ever make. And it doesn't mean that everything you're going to set out to be is going to be easy. It's just going to mean that it's going to be so much worth it. And he's going to be with you. And I love it because when you're with Jesus, you already know how the story is going to end. You're going to win.
That's right.
You're going to win. So I love it. I rock with him. I don't live without him. So, Jesus is my man, so
I dig that.
That's how I roll with it. So I hope that's encouraging. It's encouraging. Like for me, Jason, I know that we feed off of each other, man. I love being around positive people who love God. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but it means that we lean into the strength of God. In our weakness, he is made strong. And so he's our help and he's the reason why we can do the things we can do.
That's good, man. We are, as we say, real people with real problems.
Yeah.
And so pick one of those real problems in your life.
Come on.
Pick one of the challenges, set a goal, right? And leave us a comment below or let us know at some point, or you just keep track of it. Don't tell us that you're going to solve it. Don't tell us what the goal is. Get back with us and let us know how you attacked that real problem.
So good.
Whatever it is that you're facing. And then at the end of it, realize that really loving God is what's going to help you. So real people, real problems, really loving God. Warren, my man, I really love you too.
Man, I love you too, man.
Like for real, you're my guy. I appreciate you. You inspire me to set more goals. In fact, that's part of this episode as I wrap up is like, for me, I just want our listeners to know, I want you to know that a year from today, 2 years from today, like I'll turn 40.
Let's go.
July 4th of 2020. I want to say 6. So 2 years from now, July 4th, 2026, I will be the healthiest I've ever been.
Let's go.
So that's my big goal. I've said it. I don't need to talk about it anymore because I've got a game plan starting July 1st of this year, starting Monday, that I'm tracking daily.
Let's go.
So, and I don't need to talk about it because, you're not feeding me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go do it. And then you'll get to see it and realize that God's in the midst of it.
Come on.
So thank you for encouraging me. I pray that this episode was encouraging for everybody else. And I'm going to go ahead and pray us out.
Absolutely.
Man. All right. God, I just thank you so much for everything you do in helping us set goals, putting things on our heart, opening up our minds to new opportunities, using your life and sending Jesus to let us know what's really important in terms of setting goals as a relationship with you. And then you pouring yourself out on every goal, on every success we hope to achieve, on every problem we hope to overcome, that you're at the middle of it and you deserve glory for it. I thank you for everyone listening. I thank you for Warren and myself. I pray that you would help all of us achieve the goals that you have for us and that you would be our motor and propel us forward. Thank you for the opportunity to share you with people today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
Dude.
All right, man.
Awesome.
That was another banger. We did it. All right. I will see you on the next one, handsome man.
Oh, man.
You be good.
All right,
brother.
man. You too, man. Word.